This is All Things Voluntary, and today I will be explaining why the people doesn't exist. Political democracy is a system in which most votes count. Unfortunately, not everyone falls into the category of most of their neighbors. Even in a theoretically perfect political democracy, the voice of the majority is still not the voice of the people. This fault is not a mere failure of democracy to capture all dissenting opinions, but its failure to recognize that expressing the voice of the people is simply an impossible goal to begin with. Groups or collectives do not have needs, they do not have wishes, they do not have ends. A group of individuals derives its alleged characteristics from expressed characteristics of the actual living persons comprising it. Groups tend to develop the appearance of autonomy by the nature of their formation, which comes by individuals with similar goals, similar interests, or similar skills finding each other. The simple truth that groups do not exist independent of their individual members is very often neglected in political rhetoric. This mistake is often made in such statements as the US invaded Iraq, or an election is the voice of the people, or corporate greed, or even something as common as the economy is recovering. All of the above are generally accepted but deeply problematic and sometimes dangerous metaphors. Though there are many examples, I want to clarify each one I listed here. 1. When the US invaded Iraq, what actually happened was that individual persons wearing US flags followed orders given by persons with US flags outside their office buildings to harm persons and destroy their stuff in an arbitrarily distinct geographical region. 2. An election outcome is merely the most popular option out of a multiple choice poll participated in by a number of persons. It expresses nothing more wholly than a standardized version of an opinion shared by most, but not necessarily all, of those persons who commonly make up a minority of the population who actually voted. 3. Corporate greed has been thrown around a lot as a culprit of these economic hard times. But in reality, corporations are not greedy, because greed is a conscious experience, and such experiences are only privy to living, thinking, acting individuals. Business owners, managers, shareholders, lawyers, engineers, accountants, secretaries, sales reps, and shop floor workers all intend to exploit the existence of the corporation they work for their own gain, because they, the persons comprising it, are greedy, not the so-called corporation. 4. The economy is only the abstract term given to describe the system of human interactions and decisions with an impact on resource production, use, or allocation. The economy doesn't actually exist. It cannot be jump-started, it cannot stall, it cannot collapse, it cannot have green shoots. These are all unrealistic metaphors that attempt to describe shared changes in individuals' behavior throughout society. It would be comforting to think that the fallacy of collectivism only gave us faulty abstractions, but sadly, it has proven to be especially convincing to serve violent and destructive ends. For instance, the alleged common good of das Volk was used religiously by the Nazis to both create the idea of the German race and convince people of its superiority. On the other side of that coin was the justification of the murder of actual living persons who were said to belong to allegedly lesser races. Even in modern times, nationalism is preached to muster support from as many dupes as possible, so governments can do completely outrageous things without resistance. As long as it's in the interest of national security, as long as whoever is asking is standing in front of a big waving flag, suddenly anything they do to real persons is insignificant. The totally artificial construct of the country is now more important. Through the fiction of collectivism and all its forms, Governments and revolutionaries have committed the most heinous crimes in history, be they war or genocide, or even the perfectly familiar threats underlying every law and every tax for allegedly collective goals. Where human beings have created beautiful things, where they have enjoyed real peace and real prosperity, they never needed to pretend they were one massive blob. They only needed to cooperate through the decency of respecting each other as the individuals they are. This has been All Things Voluntary. Thank you for watching.